Okay. Chris Gore's Film Threat produced a new doc called Attack of the Doc. Let us check this out and we'll give our little reactions to this. Here we go.
If I were to just start apologizing for the things that we did wrong 10 years ago, this show would never end.
G4 was really one of the very last cable channels ever launched. It was the end of this linear cable era before we got to streaming and whatever it is we watch now.
Something unique, something different, something a little meta, something that was turn the mirror back onto pop culture and kind of spit in its face, but then wipe it off and give you a kiss at the same time.
He was a TV host who was also a production assistant on another show.
Oh, nice molester stash.
You do know who that is, right?
It's Shia LaBeouf, Transformer Kid.
No, it's you.
Friend sent me a series of VHS resume tapes. There was no one better than Whitney Cummings until Olivia Munn came on set.
Hello, Governor. I am Olivia Munn.
She delivered amazingly.
They dumped a bunch of snakes on her. Wow.
Was Olivia wearing the slave Leia at Comic-Con?
Yes.
History in the making.
The floodgates that they were open.
Fans were losing their minds.
We were being hounded.
It was also kind of subversive 4chan dark comedy.
We did stuff that would not fly.
Go for Power Girl.
You're a whore.
Also, more susceptible to getting AIDS.
And then from there, the wheels were off the bus.
You got another light bulb, right? I'll check out. And it's on fire. The world has been waiting for a half Chinese, half American girl diving into a giant chocolate-filled cream pie.
Oh,
When he jumped.
Right before we went live, Kevin had just shown me 2 girls, 1 cup.
Sex with dragons is one of God's special mysteries.
I spent 8 years researching space dragon sex.
Mannequins.
Not all of those things that happened on the show
I don't swallow with Kevin.
would be acceptable by today's standards.
The infamous fat suit gag, one of our production management was gonna walk.
I did a lot of on-camera drinking. Try a beer from every
2.7. You should be dead.
People will look at a broadcast back then and think, ooh.
Oh my.
You can't do that anymore.
Man, we did it once, but now no more. You can't do that no more.
Man, that took me back so hard. I miss G4.
okay. That was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
That was incredible because it just like you said, it just took us back 20 years, right? 15, 20, whatever, and the shit we used to get away with, that people got away with. I mean, they're absolutely right. You cannot do that today.
No, not at all. And I remember being, 16, 17 years old and just like every day binging G4 because I felt like I was home. There's like hot chicks everywhere. They're talking about all the nerdy stuff going on in the world, talking about games, just everything about G4. I loved it. Oh yeah, I still to this day use that gif of Olivia Munn with like 6 of those Polish sausages in her mouth. Incredible.
And you forgot just what a hottie she was.
I was so in love with her. I was like head over heels in love with Olivia and the slave Leia bikini.
And the slave Leia.
Oh my god, dude.
Bro, what's going on? Congratulations. Damn, that shit is great.
Oh, did you watch the trailer? You guys, sorry guys,
yeah.
I've just been approving a press release and all this other stuff. Weird stuff.
No, I know this was unannounced, you coming on, so I really appreciate it. We just did react, and you did what you were supposed to do with that trailer. You got us to want to see the whole thing, bro.
Oh yeah.
Well, comes out 2 weeks from today. April 24th will be the 21st anniversary of the launch of G4TV. It's weird. It launched April 24th, 2002. So it's pretty weird. Like the timing was just like, oh, let's just put it out. Let's put it out in time to like make that anniversary. So I think people will be thinking, I mean, look, that new relaunch of G4 didn't go as people had hoped. Yeah. And I think there was a lot of, I mean, I will say this in the doc, like Like
Mhm.
G4 wasn't G4 on day one. There were a lot of missteps. It took G4 almost 5 years before. It was in 2007. I was working there. I started working there in 2005. And I said, wow, like this is like a real legit. I mean, it was the least money I ever made in television, but it was the most fun I ever had. And it was a blast. And it was, oh wow, in 2007, it's like, oh, G4 is really starting to become a thing, but it took 5 years. And that new relaunch, I mean, there were missteps. You can watch some other YouTube videos about it. I don't think I need to point out what they are, but you know, they didn't even last a year. So
yeah,
I don't know if they weren't really dedicated to it or what, but this is about the old G4. It touches on the relaunch, and I can't wait for fans to see it, just to remind us of like a time when geek culture was more united. It was before, when G4 launched in 2002, it wasn't cool to be a nerd. I mean, I look at the background of X-Wing Space there, which looks a lot like mine. I got a lot of stuff in the background, and you know, when I throw myself on camera on YouTube, or I've got a room full of collectibles. That wasn't a cool thing. That was, I remember hiding my long boxes of comics in shame, and going like, I read comics, I love comics, go to the comic store every week, but it's not something I would brag about to everybody I knew. And G4 kind of made it cool to be a fan, cool to be a nerd.
It gave us a home, man. It gave us somewhere to go. And like I said, hot babes, and they're talking nerd culture. G4 was formative in my youth.
Man, I'm so happy to hear it. And I just hope that people see it and it reminds them of like, hey, this is what it was like back then. And it can happen again. You know what I mean? I think there's definitely a fatigue with cancel culture. You know, like look at what happened with Jonathan Majors and whatnot. And before, you know, not long ago, he would have just been canceled, fired, whatever. Now people are kind of skeptical. Like, what's the real story behind that? I think people have become much more skeptical of cancel culture. Like, is this really leading to a good place? You know, you hear that there are like Gen Z and the millennials kind of just don't agree on a lot of things. So I kind of feel like there's hope, like, because man, I'll tell you what, any episode of Attack of the Show that aired from back in the day, I would be canceled for the stuff I said in it or whatever. Like, people have come after Olivia because of things she said in her book. She's obviously trying to be funny.
Yeah.
You know, Olivia Munn I worked with her for 5 years when she was there on the show, and she cared so much about the audience at home. And are they enjoying it? Are they, you know, I got to get them to stick around. She knew look, incredibly beautiful woman. That is not for debate. But she knew what her role was on the show, and she didn't have to like know every nerd thing on the planet, but she knew how to entertain an audience.
I think you really tapped into something with this trailer. And I'm not saying it just because we're buddies.
Sure.
This is so strikingly different to that abomination that they tried to relaunch.
Oh,
right?
Man.
It is like what Star Wars used to be and what Lizzo is now to Star Wars. That's like,
wow. Yep.
It really is. It really is, because someone said that too, that the nerds are no longer, you know, love Star Wars or, you know, run Star Wars. It's been taken over by the popular kids who used to bully the nerds.
Yep.
And then they were showing a photo of Liz and Jack Black, you know, dance or whatever. The same can be said about G4, and thank God it got wiped. It got wiped.
Well, look,
I think you're gonna touch on something here, Chris.
Well, the movie, as much as like it looks like an episode of Jackass with all the stuff featured in the trailer, the purpose of the trailer is to get you to want to watch the movie. The movie does actually delve into a bit more serious issues of how the culture has changed. Why is geek culture divided? I mean, look, I don't care if you hate or love The Last Jedi. It's fine. Let's talk Star Wars. Let's have a beer together. Let's hang out. Let's celebrate all the things that we love, you know, and we used to do that. Now people are like, if you don't, there's just way too much division in geek culture. Like, I don't care if someone disagrees with my opinion on a movie. Paulie, we've disagreed plenty of times. You know what? I'm still going to hang out with you. We're still going to, the point is the conversation. Yep. And also I want to hear why you love something so much. You've changed my mind on a bunch of things, Paulie. We've had discussions and I'm like, all right, I see it from your point of view. Like, I love that, but we've lost that tolerance for different opinions about movies and video games and pop culture. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
You know, like it's utterly ridiculous. So this level of intolerance toward people with different opinions about that is ridiculous. I've also stated many times, my opinion doesn't invalidate your opinion. You can love something that I despise. You can despise something that I love. Guess what? It's okay. You know, we'll get through it.
Yep. And that's indicative, I think, of what you touched on there. That's indicative of, I think, a problem in the greater culture as well.
Right.
We live in a time of war, basically. Constant disagreement.
It's unfortunate because look, I grew up when nerds were bullied. I grew up when, you know, look, I'm unabashedly, I will tell you, I was an indoor kid. I had a newspaper route. That's how I earned money. I bought comic books, video games, and Aurora model kits. And I sniffed Tester's lemon scented glue because that one was safe to smell. But in any case, I'm saying I was legit. Dude, I made a cosplay of Angel from the X-Men when I was like 9 years old because I love the X-Men. I made the wings. I made the whole costume. I was 9. I dressed up as Spock and went to the Detroit Auto Show to meet Leonard Nimoy, and he autographed a little Polaroid of me dressed as Spock. Dude, I was a nerd. And this is a time when there were conventions. Detroit didn't have one, but what they would do is they would have the auto show, and in like a room in the back, they would have comic books. Then they would have another room where they would show 16mm prints of Star Trek episodes and Doctor Who. It was weird. It was a weird time of like nerd culture was not mainstream. Thanks.
Yeah.
That was my intention, was to remind people, because it really made me sad when the new G4 came out, and you know, they had some missteps in the beginning, and fine. It's fine. It's not as if I didn't make mistakes almost every week. You know what I mean? Like, you know, but like you make your mistakes and it's live TV and it happens and whatever. But it was really sad to me. Two things. One, that the new G4 stumbled and wasn't given a chance. And then you owe them, you know, the fact that you have a job. So I felt that actually was concerning to me, to see that the legacy of G4 wasn't as respected as it deserved, because they remember what the old G4 was, and I wanted to remind them of it. You know what I mean? It's like, and the new G4 could have evolved into something, you know? Like I said, it took like 5 years in my opinion, it took like 5 years for G4 to really kind of become what it was. And the new G4 didn't get that shot. And they should be allowed to make mistakes and whatnot. So,
yeah, but you know, that attacking of the fans,
that was a mistake, dude. That was a mistake. I will say this: if Olivia Munn was there, she would have handled. And the movie talks about this. The movie talks about a lot of stuff kind of indirectly, but like Olivia would make a mistake and be embarrassed, and then they would turn it into a joke. Olivia Munn could laugh at herself. That's why she was so likable. That's why she built a fandom that she had. She had a sense of humor about herself. And I will say this, to me, everyone on G4, with a few exceptions, I won't state, everyone had a sense of humor about themselves.